right, how you doing today, AJ?
Good, brother. How about yourself?
Doing great, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and do this.
Yes, sir. Of
Appreciate it.
course.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited. Ever since I've been a youngster, man, we always enjoyed going to the rodeo every year and stuff, and watching on TV. Just excited. Dealing with bulls is one thing I never did that I wish that I would have when I was younger.
Nah, I
You
hear that.
know,
I tell everybody, like, if you get the opportunity to do it, it's like, it's the most freeing feeling I've ever felt. So I hate you didn't get
I,
a chance.
I know, man. It's too late now, man. Hey, I got out of boxing. I was done with that. I definitely don't want to mess with no bulls, man. So for sure, I think a lot of people don't even understand the whole concept. First of all, man, let me know how you got into even being a bullfighter and riding bulls, man.
So growing up, like, we owned some horses, we owned a little land, and my dad like was a big fan of the PBR, but he didn't really know how to get me into it. So it was just something we watched. And then I went through like my adolescent years just playing regular sports, doing the normal stuff normal kids do. And then I went to the army out of high school, got out of the army, and I was like, man, I want to. Well, actually, I was working at a refinery plant when I got out, and it blew up. And I was
Oh,
like, man, I want to like do something with life. Like I want to do something different. So I ended up going to college to rope calves. Actually, I did that a little bit growing up, and then my horse got hurt when I was there, and I was on a partial scholarship. So my coach was like, "Hey, you got to do something." So I was like, "Well, this is a good time to try bull riding." There was one other bull rider at the college who was really talented, and so he let me borrow all his gear, and I got on two little roping steers just to learn shoot procedure, and entered the college rodeo that weekend.
wow, man, that fast,
That
that
fast.
fast. Oh man, man, that's got to be really exciting, man. What was the feeling, man? The thought getting on a bull for the first time like that.
Man, the first one there wasn't really much thought. Like, of course, that fear is there, and you're like, "Why in the hell am I doing this?" But it's like once you crawl down on top of them in the buck and shoot, like the thoughts really go away because I mean, it's too late to be scared now, you know. So that first one, I nodded my head and I looked up and I was standing back in the buck and shooting the bulls on the other side of the arena. I had no shot, you know what I mean? But just putting yourself in that situation and feeling that adrenaline rush and like pretty much doing something that 95% of the world would never even try, it gives you that feeling of like I'm a badass, you know what I mean? So I
Right.
got hooked on it.
Man, I bet I'm gonna pull up a couple little pictures here, man. It's hard for me to see some of these. So tell me what's going on with some of them as we go. So and also as you're talking, I may pull some up, but here's one. What do we got
So
there?
so this picture is actually from my return to bull riding after my bullfighting career. This was the second one I got back on this year. Um Man, it was a good little bull. I rode him pretty deep, got bucked off like riding a whistle, but this was at like a little jackpot in Mansfield, Texas.
Got you. Man, that's incredible. Man, that's incredible, man. You know what I'm saying? Um, I guess we'll get into it along the way also about gear because I've noticed gears changed over the years.
Oh yeah, oh
You
yeah.
know, back in the day, man, on it was a hat, a cowboy hat, and that was there was nothing, man. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? I notice now, even like at the livestock Houston Livestock Show Rodeo or anything I see, more guys are wearing vests and you know, you got a
Mhm.
lot more safety gear. But anyway, um, so just tell me like as far as becoming a bullfighter, man, um, how you know what I'm saying? What is a typical day like, man, when you're working towards that, man, when you're facing that, you know what I'm saying?
So my story of becoming a bullfighter, which I really love this picture. This is like one of my favorite pictures of my career. But becoming a bullfighter for me was a little different story than most guys, I would say. A lot of great bullfighters are prior bull riders that
Mhm.
really weren't too good at riding bulls. And I kind of fit that mold a bit. But the way that come about for me is I was at a bull riding. So it was right after COVID, you know, got sent home from college in Colorado. Things were kind of opening back up. We were kind of getting to go a little bit. Um, and I went to this bull riding, and the bulls should have been easy for me. Like drew a bull right there to the right into my hand. Should have rode him all day long. Like, could have blindfolded me. I should have rode him. I bucked off. And there's this practice pen that we'd always go to on Sundays called Bad Dog Rodeo in Belton. And so the next day, me and my buddies went over there, and I was being a big old baby. I was bitching and moaning, like, man, I'm done. Like, what? So they were all getting on my case, like, man, if you're going to be here, do something. And so one of the guys suggested I try fighting bulls. And my mentor, Clint Lott, was there. He'd been fighting bulls in the PRCA for 2 or 3 years at that point, and been fighting for like 4 or 5. And he's probably 5'4", 5'5". So I'm looking at him, never seen him work before, know nothing about him. I'm like, if he can fight bulls, I can dang sure do it. So first one is like a little steer jump kicker, not mean at all. They got me running behind this kid, and I'm like, man, if I'm gonna do this, I want to do it on the juice. So first big bull I fought, big paint bull, big old horns. They buck him, guy hangs up to him, and like my natural instinct, because I'd been hung up before, was just get up there and get him off. So get that guy off, and everybody's like, have you ever fought bulls before? And I'm like, nope, never even thought about it. I think it's stupid. And so we go through the day, and they end up bucking that same bull again, and a different guy hung up to him, and I just jumped in there, got him unhung. And so after that practice, we were all sitting around talking, and Clint Lott and this older guy named Randy Waller were sitting there telling me, if you applied yourself to this, I think you could be something. And so I'm sitting there, me being me, I'm like, y'all serious? Or y'all just blowing smoke? They're like, we're serious. So I called my boss the next day, quit my job, and was going to every practice pen from South Texas to Oklahoma to just try to cut my teeth.
Wow, man. And so I just so people understand too. Okay, first of all, let me clear this up. A lot of people, man, they watch the rodeo and they see the guys that are the bullfighters that are saving these bull riders from getting, dismantled or what, you know what I'm saying? Getting
Yeah.
stomped, getting whatever. Hey, if they're hung up, pulling that rope, man, getting their hand free and everything. They say it's a rodeo clown or whatever, And so the term bullfighter to me is way more makes sense of it. Has that something that's evolved over years? Had people never said that in the industry? Is that just what people in the stands would say or think? Or
So back in the day, when the game started changing, the rodeo clown, which is the funny man, fought bulls and told jokes, and it was
okay,
usually just one guy. I am not 100% sure when it switched. I would say maybe 70s, late 70s, early 80s, maybe,
okay,
where the separation kind of started. But me personally, I'm a guy where I like to be looked at as a rodeo clown. Like, yeah, I don't have a mic, and yeah, I don't tell jokes, but man, I'm painted up. I got the big baggies on. Because I feel like the job of bullfighting is already so serious that if you make it more serious, it's just not that fun. So I like to dance when the music comes on. I like to mess with the kids on the like that are close to the rails. I like to have a good time. Like, there's a lot of guys who look at it as an athlete deal now, which I mean we are, but they don't paint up anymore. They don't wear the baggies. They're just, I'm an athlete. I'm not a clown. I'm the type of guy where I am trying to embrace the old school as much as I can. Um, my favorite bullfighter ever was Leon Coffey, and I was blessed to have a relationship with him. And so I tried to carry that mantle the best I could to where, if guys are bucking off a lot tonight and we're not getting good quality bull rides, those fans still have something to remember when they leave the arena.
yeah, man, putting on a real show. That I tell you what, I was looking at clips last night, man, and there just the way you did it, man. I loved it. And I was showing me and my wife were looking. I was like, check it out, man. He danced off after he did. Let me pull up one video that I got real fast, man. I'm hoping this is the one. I love this one, man.
Oh, yeah,
Look at
that's a
that.
good video.
That's a good one. I slowed it down a little when you grabbed the rope. Check this out, people. That guy's hung up, freed him up. Oh man. That's incredible. Look at that, man. I love it, man. I love it. Hey, man, that's awesome, man. And I mean, I think most people watch and get the idea that okay, this guy's distracting this bull,
Mhm.
but having watched, like, really watched a lot of your videos and everything, I saw even more, man. How close? I mean, you're sitting there touching him, dancing. I've got more videos I'm gonna pull up, man. But you know, uh, how about the relationship between the rider and the fighter, man? Are those guys obviously super appreciative after something like that?
Yeah, man, and it's kind of what kept me on the side of bullfighting instead of going back to bull riding right away, because my whole goal and everything I do in life is, as it shallow as it sounds, I want to be recognized, like whether it's good or bad. I want the weight on my shoulders, and the responsibility of making sure that these guys who make a living riding bulls can go back to their families, can go back to their kids, their wives, their moms, their dads, and provide. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
took that responsibility very serious, and so there's guys that maybe might not say as much, or maybe aren't as like in your face about thanking you, but they'll buy you a beer at the bar, or they tap you on your back. And it's just or for me, even if a guy don't say nothing, but I can see his wife and his kids in the crowd and they're, whew, I'm like, I did my job. Because it's
Right.
a lot of these guys how they pay their bills. And so if I miss a gap, or I'm late on an assignment and he gets his leg broke, he can't feed his family for 8 months, and that waits on me. And so I took that relationship very serious, even if it was a guy I didn't necessarily like very much. At the end of the day, the sport was sacred enough to me to where I can put our differences aside and make sure that you can walk out of this arena and give it your all at your next one.
Right. I mean, yeah, man, that's well said. That's intense, man. That's almost like, okay, so you were in the army, man. That
Yes, sir.
to me in my mind seems like that carried over to you in
Yeah,
life, even in
very
something like
similar.
that.
Very
Not
similar.
not leaving anyone behind, looking out for everybody. That's awesome, man.
Yes,
Really
sir.
cool. Yeah, man, that's great. Now, as far as training, man, you know, I sent you that one video I did about bull riders being like the toughest sport, compared to so
Yes, sir.
many things. Um, what is there any training? Do guys, try to get in shape, keep shape, get strong or anything for this? Or is it people just
So that's another one of the deals that kind of have made a switch in the last 10 to 15 years. Whereas, like, you have the JB Moonies, the Chase Outlaws, um, all the great guys, you start naming names, you go draw a blank. But all the great guys from that golden PBR era, a lot of them guys didn't work out. They were just cowboys. They were horseback every day. They were horseback all their lives. They've ridden bulls since they were 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And so they naturally have that feel of the animal. Well, now where we're getting more of these extreme sports kind of guys, these live on the edge kind of guys who are transitioning, you're starting to see the athletic side come into play more, especially with like the PBR teams popping up where they're having training camps, and like guys are really putting that work in. So on the bullfighter side, it's somewhat of the same. Like for me, coming from traditional sports, I was a guy who had to work out. Like I love to do my footwork. I necessarily didn't get in the gym and try to get big because I didn't care about it, but footwork, agility, running a bit was my thing. And then I know guys who roll out of bed, don't stretch, never thought about stretching, smoke a pack of cigarettes, go in the arena and do the deal. So the spectrum's there, but you're starting to see more of the athlete come in.
right? That's what that makes sense, man. Because I was wondering about that because a lot of different things evolve, and I mean, I guess if you're riding bulls and you're doing that type of stuff, you're going to build up core strength and strength
Yep.
anyway, just from for that sport
Hmm.
because that's what you're doing. You know what I mean? So yeah, that and then also I see the jerseys and stuff. I've noticed I like that, man.
Yep.
Guys wearing the jerseys and the matching outfits. That's pretty cool, man. I mean, so that there's actual teams and stuff now is what you're saying also, right? In
Just
sponsorships and everything more for that, right?
just in the PBR, they started their team deal where there's different cities with different teams, and it's kind of a new concept. Some people are all against it, some people are all for it. Um, the PBR is kind of trying to get into a space where they can compete with mainstream sports, and I'm a fan of it. They've had three combines, I think. Yeah, three combines. I fought two of them. It's a super cool deal to see some of these legends come back to the sport and evaluate these guys, make teams, teach these guys. Like I think it's helped a lot of guys riding. But then you also have like the PRCA side of things where it's just as old school as it's always been. One guy, one bull, make your money. You know what I mean? So it's kind of just a spectrum of ways to get into the sport now.
Now that's neat, man. I think a lot of sports have done that also. You know, like, and there's going to be people that are pro and against it.
Mm-hmm.
I used to love skateboarding, man. Skateboarded for a long time, and you know, I know guys that can't stand that it's in the Olympics or that they have, you know, X Games. They wanted just at a ditch in a backyard, you
Yeah.
know, half pipe or something. They don't want to see it out there, you know, commercialized. But you know, you know, I think even some of those guys kind of soften on it and go, you know what, man, it's good for the sport or whatever.
Yeah, and
So
I think it's good for everybody because the thing is, and like I tell people all the time, coming from a family that's not traditionally Western, if it wasn't for the boom of social media and guys being able to pass me the sport, I would have never found it. And so, like, some of the people wanted to keep it inclusive and like just old Western, like we're cowboys. But at the end of the day, like if I go to a rodeo and there's 1,000 true enough cowboys, that vibe is completely different. If there's 1,000 people who just seen it on YouTube and they want to come experience it because
right.
they're interacting with it, they're having fun, they're yelling, they're oohing, they're on. Whereas them 1,000 cowboys are, I've seen this 100 times. That boy should have rode that bull. So it's a give and take type deal.
Gotcha, man. Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's a good analogy, man, because I think that's how it is with that
Exactly.
goes for every sport. I think that you're right, man. And I always think it's good, man, to be able to get it out to other people and be able to have others that may have never been able to experience this or see it, experience it and be like, wow, that's pretty cool, man. You know,
Yes,
and
sir.
yeah. So let me ask you, getting into it, man. Let me ask you that how was it getting into it? Was it hard to get into the, you know, traditional or you know, guys that were already there and you're just, you know, going into it where people stand off and like, oh man, you know, this guy may just be trying to jump in for the quick, you know, get in, or you know, did people embrace you and be like, yeah, man, you know, let me show you the ropes?
Man, it was a double-edged sword to be honest. Because there's a lot of guys who have 10, 15 years in the game and don't get close to what I got to in 2 years. And I don't say that to be cocky, but I say it because it's such a right place, right time, right person type industry. Because on the bullfighting side of things, it's it's all contract work. So you gotta get the bids, you gotta know the right people. And so for me starting out, I took a route that I knew it was either going to be gold or bust. So like I told you, I quit my job that next Monday, and I traveled to every practice pen, not making any money for I would say 2 to 3 months. I was homeless, living out of my car, and then I got super lucky and met some Brazilians in Poteet, Texas. Just showed up to a practice pen one day, and the man that owned the place, his name was Luis Blanco. He won the PBR World Finals event in 2012, 2013 maybe, but showed up at his place, fought practice bulls, and I was super green, so like I was just doing what I knew. And he come to me after the practice and was like, "Hey, would you move in?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd do that." And he's like, "All right, well, to pay your rent, you fight bulls, you work with us on the ranch, and you get to fight as many bulls as you want." And so I lived with him for about 7 to 8 months, but he really gave me opportunities. Like I would say like 6, 7 months in, I fought an event called the World Cup, and it was in Del Rio. It was Team Brazil, America, like 2 or 3 American teams, a Venezuelan team, a Mexico team, and it really kind of put me on the map because there were some really high end bulls there, some really big time contractors, and I was the type of guy where I would go anywhere as long as the money kind of matched my where I was at, I would go. And so I've traveled the country trying to make a name, whereas a lot of guys stay at home, and it's hard to win at home because, like, especially in Texas, like you go to Fort Worth, you can throw a rock and hit a bullfighter. So, like, I went to Michigan, I went to Illinois, I went to Kentucky, and I was just staying places fighting bulls until I got the recognition I thought I deserved, and then I took my shot at the pros.
Man, that's incredible, man. That's awesome, man. Man, that how cool, man. Let me pull up another video, man, because these videos are I don't want to, you know, keep going and pass some of these up. There's another one I really liked, and I can't see the little icons I'm clicking on are so small, man. So I sometimes I'll pull up the wrong thing. I think this is it. Let me check and see. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I love this one, man. Juke the
Oh,
bull, man.
yeah.
Oh man, that was all. Let's play that one more time, bro. I got to do that one
Come
more time.
on.
Oh, I love it, man.
So that's what we
Ah,
call. That's just throwing a fake. Walk them one way, plant hard, go the other way.
is that a common thing, man?
Yeah, man, it gets so
I
much
mean, even back in the
crazy.
day, because I just don't remember a lot of dudes doing that. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
So like they threw fakes back then, but the bulls were different back then. Like back then they were really big, bighorn, brindle bulls, really mean. And so it was a different type of bull. Whereas now I tell people fighting bulls is so easy now because the bulls buck hard. I mean, there's some really mean ones out there, but most of them know the deal. And they're just easy to fight now. Like back then, I feel like it was so much harder to fight bulls than it is now.
Mm, is that right? Wow. Yeah. Hey, man, you mentioned the brindle bulls. I raised pit bulls for a long time, right?
Hmm.
And brindle pit bulls were my favorite, and it's because they reminded me of bulls so much.
Yeah,
Having just a stocky big, I would be like, oh, look at that little bull, man.
yeah.
I always was obsessed with bulls, man. I think they're just an incredible animal, man.
Yeah, like
Incredible.
back then, you go to a practice pen and they run a trailer load of honkers off. I mean, big 2,200 pound brindles with baseball bats, and they were wild as hell. You know what I mean? Now, like these bulls are pampered, and
Is
so
that
it's
right?
like a lot of the times the work's easy, and I kind of would make more work just so I could get the recognition because I mean the work's easy. Like I went like you stay with the same contractor. I went 5, 6, 7, 8 shows without even being in a bind. You know what I mean?
Is
So
that
it's like
right?
sometimes you got to just make something out of nothing, or you get stagnant.
Right, right. Make it look into here. Here's another one, man. Let me pull this one up. Man? You got highlights out the wazoo, man. Here's another one, man. Great one.
Oh yeah,
Smooth over it, man.
oh
One more
yeah.
time because it's so quick. One more time. Ah, yeah. Oh man, that's. I mean, so like to me, that one that's really athletic and like what I'm saying. That's next level of the sport of it, I guess I should say, of athleticism. So
Mhm.
I think that adds a lot to it, man, for sure, without a doubt, without a doubt. Now, man, you mentioned some injuries and stuff, and let me pull up just a couple pictures. This has nothing to do with injuries, but I was just wanted to make sure I pull some of these up too. Now, here's one. Is this practice
Yeah,
right
this
here?
was
You want to?
this was a practice pen. This was actually at the same place from the bull riding picture you posted earlier. I had just come back to bull riding, and I want to say this was like the fourth or fifth bull I got on. Really strong, really good little bull. Rode it for about 4 or 5 seconds, and he got me off. He got stronger and stronger as the ride went. I was actually surprised myself that my form was even this good coming back. And when I first came back, so the bull earlier I had the helmet on. This one I didn't. I just kind of wanted to like, hell, if I'm gonna do it, let's be cowboy about it. So I took the helmet off for about 3, 4 months, and yeah, I was kind of just picking up my stride back when this around this time.
Is that right, man? Jeez. So I think a lot of people, probably don't understand how 4 or 5 seconds.
Sorry, hold on. I don't know what is going on with my phone.
So I think a lot of people, man, don't underestimate what 4 or 5 seconds on a bull is. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like people say, oh, you got to be on there for 8 seconds. Give me a little bit of the rules of it, man. Let me pull that off, and give me what constitutes an actual 8 second ride. What are the you can't do and you can do?
So I mean, it's super simple. Honestly, it's one leg on each side, one hand tied to him, one hand in the air, and the only thing you can't do is one buck off, of course, before 8 seconds, and then two slap him with whatever hands in the air. Um,
Okay,
but like the scoring is 50 points for the bull, 50 points for the rider, and they add those up for your total score. And there's ways to boost that score, and there's ways to lose that score, even if you make 8 seconds. So, like if
hmm
I'm hanging off the side of a bull, or I'm really out of time with him and he's whipping me around, but I'm hanging on, that's not going to be as good of a score as if I'm in time with him, I'm sitting front to back. Um, I look like he could pull a knife on me and he wouldn't get me off. That consist as like that's a good bull ride. And then if you're really in time, we call it tapped off. When guys get tapped off, where it's like you can close your eyes and look to the sky, that boy ain't gonna buck you off. You start spurring him, And a lot of people think the spurring is like hurts them, but the rowels
Course.
we use, like the spurs we use, the rowels are like round, like they don't stick or hold onto them. But all the spurring does is just kind of show that I'm in control. I can open a leg up and just show that I'm here, I'm in time. There's nothing he can do, and that's kind of a double-edged sword because bulls are smart, and so some bulls you spur them, they'll go whichever way you're spurring them harder. There's other bulls you open up the sperm, they're going to go back to the side you opened up on and try to dump you on the other side. So
Okay.
it's a pretty simple thing, and like you said, I think people underestimate how long that 8 second feels sometimes. But when you're tapped off on a bull, there's no better feeling. Like it goes by like that.
I bet, man. Yeah, if you're really going, man, that's cool, man. Let me pull up another picture here, man. Tell me what's up here.
So this was like this was my first year in the PRCA. I was on permit. I had had a great year this year, and I got screwed. So let me back up. So to enter the pros in bullfighting, you apply for your card. You apply for your permit through the PRCA, which is this association. Oh shit, I'm backwards. That
Hmm.
association. You apply for your permit, and you have to give them 5 non-pro rodeos. They send a guy out to evaluate you. They give you a yes or a no, and then once you get on permit, you have to fight 5 pro rodeos, and you get evaluated at each one, and they give you a yes or no to your permanent card. Well, I was having a banger of a year. I was going everywhere. I was fighting bulls for the best people in the business, and I got screwed by a company. I got screwed by a rodeo company because I quit them because the money wasn't right, and they denied me for my card. And
Oh,
there's a deal at the end of the year for permit guys. You get one shot at it. It's called the Benny Binion Buck and Stock sale, but it's essentially the permit NFR. This is your chance to be in front of every contractor, all the young guys that are coming up that are going to be something. It's just everyone's in Vegas. It's at like 10 in the morning, so everyone is in the South Point Hotel Arena, and it's a crazy environment. And that was my goal. And at that time, I'd only been fighting bulls for a year and 3 or 4 months. So I wanted it bad. I wanted to do it at a year and a half and show that like I'm the real deal. So that company screwed me, and I got lucky because a guy named Jake King from down by Houston who had fought at circuit finals, well established guy, called me and said, "Hey, I got 5 more rodeos for you. Come on with me." So that rodeo was in Seguin, Texas. That's actually that arena is where they shot 8 seconds. One of
oh, is
the
that right?
one of the bull
Wow.
riding scenes in 8 seconds. Um, and that bull is super mean. I fought that bull like 3 or 4 times when I was coming up. He hooked me every time,
Mm.
and I slit that gap for that bull rider, and that bull caught me on the other side and hooked me. But I mean that bull riding itself like shot my trajectory up.
Is that right, man? That was a point that was, uh put your stock up, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
so to say, for that sport. Oh man, that's cool. Here's another one here, man.
Oh man, one of my favorites. One of my favorites. So this bull riding was in Springtown, Texas, up here by Fort Worth, and it was a benefit for a kid that passed away from my hometown, Victoria, Texas. And this bull riding was super cool because the kid in the back, I helped him out a bunch when he first got going. He's a super good bullfighter and bull rider, and we had just fought a bull riding the day before. Matter of fact, the first clip of that hang up you showed was the
Hmm.
day before this deal, and JB Mooney was the shoot director at it. It was some of the best bull riders going, some of the best bulls. Uh, and that guy hung up, and it was a gnarly hang up. We worked the hang up pretty great, and that bull come around, and I just stepped over that guy and got a badass picture.
Oh man, that's a shot that like people. I'm sure people just wish they could get something like that, man. And then how about the camera guy, man? So is there cats in there catching shots like that up close, man?
All the time, man. Like the rodeo photography business is really booming right now, and for us bullfighters, like stuff like this, you can get this out on social media. It can raise your stock. You know what I mean? Like like that's kind of what made my career with social media. Like I'm posting everything, like everything I do, I'm posting it, and people are like, "Holy hell, this kid's the real deal." And so when
Right.
that picture came out, I'd say it did really well on social media.
Oh man, I bet because yeah, every people can see it.
Yeah,
As in the past, nobody, they had to hear about it or somebody had a picture or whatever. But like you say, nowadays, man, you can post that up and use it. That's very smart, man, to be able to use that business wise and for people to be able to see it. Awesome,
yes,
man.
sir.
Awesome. As far as yeah, I'm gonna whichever once we're done and everything and I get this posted up, I'm definitely going to put all your social media stuff up that you want people to follow on and look at. You, man, you got a great TikTok too, man. Like the
Thank
videos
you.
and stuff. Incredible, man. Here's another good one, man.
So
Look at
this
that.
one was my first bull riding stint. Coming home right after COVID, down in Baverde, Texas. Really good bull. Rode him for eight. I would think I was like 83, 84 points. That was a good day. Made a little pocket change.
Yeah, man. I bet that's real. That is man, that's an intense picture there. Was he just coming out of the chute or heading towards the the gate there, or how was that shot, or is it just the way it looks, man?
So this was probably, I think this picture was in the middle of the ride, and the
Okay.
bull was like pretty good. Like he just got it on right there in the door. So that picture just kind of seems like he's running back in there, but he bucked in a tight circle right there, and yeah, he was a cool one.
That's an intense picture, man. Incredible, man. Incredible. Now, you spoke about I noticed now in some of your shots, man, you got a knee brace on and you got you know what I'm saying? And you
Yes,
spoke
sir.
of the injuries and different things. Let me show this one clip real fast before we even get into that as far as this is another really, really good one, man.
Oof. This was not a fun one.
No, it doesn't. I took some out and to get to this faster. Oh man, oh man, tell me what you're thinking and oh man, tell me
So
about it, man.
so that's a freestyle bullfighting, and it's kind of like the Spaniard way, but we don't use capes and swords. Ours is just you and the bull. It's 45 seconds mandatory, and then 15 seconds for a big pop at the end. We call it a sell. And that was my pro freestyle debut in Swainsboro, Georgia. Drew a really good bull. Was about to be 90 to win my round. I'm pretty sure. That bull was really hot, really fun. And the shot that I took actually wasn't normally. It's not a bad shot. That's not a bad hook in. Like that's just get rolled up, get back to him. But he got under my vest when he lifted me up, and he come back. He got under my vest and pushed on my ribs, and he didn't collapse my lung or anything, but he just bruised my ribs really bad, shot the air out of me, and I regret that one all the time because I could have finished that bull, but the adrenaline was going, and like I could not get my win back, and he was
Mm,
he was a really solid bull.
man, let's watch that one more time, man. One more time. That's intense, man.
And so,
Look
see,
at
these
it.
bulls, these bulls are different than the bucking bulls. These are Mexican fighting bulls, so they're bred to
Mhm.
be mean. There's nothing done to them for them to be mean. Like they're born, they drop, and a few hours later they're trying to hook you because that's just in their blood.
Right, right. Right. It's just the mentality and the how they're wired, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Man, that was intense, man. I mean, what is let me show this picture real fast before we get into injuries, man. I know you had this one up there.
Oof, oof. That was a fun one, a very fun one. So I'll rewind a bit. So in 23, I had such a great year. Fought some really big rodeos. Was really like catching my stride. I mean, I was going every weekend, fighting for some really good rodeo companies. And then no, or September 16th of 23, I tore everything in my knee: ACL, MCL, PCL, meniscus. So I went and had surgery, went home, rested for 6 months, came back. And there's a lot in the bullfighting industry. I don't want to shit on it too bad, but there's a lot that I didn't agree with or didn't like about it. And my cousin started riding bulls because of the way I made bullfighting look. He wanted to join the sport. And so I was kind of fed up with the bullfighting deal, which is why I retired. And I wanted to just go rodeo with him. And so we were at a bull riding in somewhere in Iowa. Got on this really strong white bull, come around to the right and lost my inside foot. and hit the ground. He stepped on the helmet, and it collapsed the helmet around my head, squeezed my head out like a grape, and I had to get stitches in my eye and in my ear. Um, had a minor concussion. Think he knocked me out for a second. I ain't sure. Come back from that one. I was out for like a week or two at that deal. Come back, tear my groin. A week later, uh, still dealing with that to this day. Never went and got it checked. Come back after that, messed my shoulder up, and then I was like, you know what, I'm too old and I don't love it enough to keep trying. So
Gotcha,
that was
man.
the
What
walk.
what do you think's the worst injury that you have out of all of them? What do you think was the worst?
Man, that's a tough question because for me, like I wouldn't sit here and say I'm just a tough as nails kind of guy, but I have the mindset of if I'm not dead, I'm fine. So for me, I would say it was the knee injury just because that it took away so much. Like if it wasn't for the knee injury, um, there's no telling where I'd be right now. I was on a good path, and I was only when I blew my knee out, I was only 3.5 years in, and
Mm.
like it was starting to roll. Like I would say I had a really good shot at getting an NFR at some point in my career. Like things were going really well, and so that injury took a lot from me, and it also opened my eyes to a lot of things about the sport. And so if that doesn't happen, I'm a different person at this point in life. But I don't regret anything.
Got you. Yeah. No, man, those knee injuries, meniscus, and all that type of stuff are serious. I was at the I think it was the Houston Open when my nephew Cyril, who hooked all this up, man. Thank you to my nephew for this, man. Uh, he tore his meniscus and his
Mm.
ACL, man, at one time in one event, and oh man, the pain he was in and what he had to go through the rehab. I remember how bad it was, man. That's yeah,
Yeah,
terrible,
it was terrible, and like the way it happened was so like I look back and say it just had to have been God trying to slow me down and put me on a different route because we were at a deal in Colorado Springs, and like after that deal, I was supposed to go to Phoenix for an Extreme Bulls that would have really kind of opened a lot more eyes to me. And I had such a great year for this year. Like I was already booked up, things were hot, had some really good rodeos. We were at that deal, fought 2 days already. Me and two of my good buddies actually were fighting together. We were having a blast. Come into the short round, which is like the final round, top 15 guys. First bull out, I make a monster save. It was badass. Next bull out, little red bull, kind of built like the bull that's on the background here, like a
man.
bull that like I could walk around. He bucks a guy off and he takes. I shoot a smooth little gap on him. He runs down the arena. My buddy goes to fight him, and I'm like, hell, you ain't having all the fun. So I run out there with him, hit a little fake on him, and he comes and he blows back really close. So I just kind of did like a little spin move we call a step through. And when I
Mhm.
pushed off, the knee just popped and like went down. He kind of run over the top of me. And like I knew in that moment, I was like, man, everything I've worked for is about to get put on hold. And the thing with bullfighting is until you're established, an injury like that can set you back. And so I just remember like getting help to the ambulance and like I was trying to like convince myself I wasn't hurt, sat down and cried, shed some tears on the ambulance because I knew it was going to be a long road back. And yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah, man. That sounds bad. That's a real bummer, man. Especially when you're uh when you're going in such a good direction and you got things going so well like that, man. That stinks, man. So are you still doing anything at all? Are you training guys or doing anything at all? Or are you totally retired and done?
So there's some guys that I help that send me their videos and I kind of critique them, or if I show up to a practice pin because my cousin's still riding, I'll go places with him, help him out. I love it because I still get a lot of respect as far as like what I was, and so I share the gift as much as I can. But as far I guess I shouldn't say this. If anybody watches this, they're going to know my secret. But my cousin gets on at a practice pin here in Weatherford, and I'm really close with the contractor. So I'll put a vest on and go play around every now and then. But as far as like doing shows and on the hunt, I'm done.
You done on that? Yeah, I got you, man. That sometimes that's just how it goes, man. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
It's when I decided to stop being a sparring partner and decided to become a trainer. I just figured, man, I want to remember my name in 10 years. You know what I'm saying? I want to
Yes,
be able to
sir.
talk. So that's that. Um, how about, do you have any, let me see real fast. I think there was one more picture. I may have pulled all these up, but I just want to, that was that one. Uh, now this was interesting, man. Let me know about this one, man. This was
So,
neat.
so this is really cool deal that I kind of got into later in my career. There's a guy named Anthony Thomas from Australia. He's a bareback rider, and he's been the PRCA for, hey, that might be him in the picture, but he's been in the PRCA for going on 15, 16 years now. And they have this really cool group. We meet on Wednesdays every morning on Zoom, and we just talk about the Word of God. Like
Oh,
we have
wow.
different guest speakers every Wednesday, and it's just a bunch of cowboys who understand that the lifestyle doesn't have to be what it was as far as drugs and wild women and all that. Like you can have a great career, follow God, be a good Christian, and so I won't be attending that deal, but I wanted to post it and for all the people in Vegas for the NFR right now, like, of course you're gonna go out and have fun, but don't forget, the reason we're all alive and being able to chase this dream, go spend some time with them guys.
That's so cool, man. That's awesome, man. Let's watch a couple of these one more. Do you have any advice, man, for guys, like say somebody wants to get into this, man? Somebody's, that's their, this is their dream, this is their thought, man. What advice do you have to help them potentially move how you did, man?
So I'm a guy now who's a super realist. And I tell people, you need to understand what this is before you decide that you want to do it. I think everyone should try it. If it's in your heart to try it, you should try it. But you have to understand what the job is. I make it seem very fun and jovial and all those things. But the question I ask guys when they tell me they want to seriously do it is, are you okay with your mother crying so someone else's mother doesn't have to? And I think it's a heavy question because at the end of the day, that's the name of this sport. Are you willing to lay your life on the line for a guy that you don't know, maybe will never see again, but it's your job? Um, and if the answer is yes to that, then give it your all. Like anything else in life, you're going to pay your dues. You're going to get knocked around. You're going to get hooked. You're going to get run over. You're going to break bones. You're going to get hurt. It's as simple as that. But if you can look past all that, there's a great life in this sport. And it doesn't even have to be the bullfighting or the bull riding side. You can buy bulls. You can learn how to raise bulls. You can just go show up and be a guy around. You can work rodeos. But I think it takes a special person to do this particular job. And I think you have to kind of look back at yourself and your life and understand, okay, am I or am I not that person? Or can I become that person? But it's just like anything else. You put the work in, you show up every day. Just kind of like training, like fighting wise. You're
Sure.
gonna get beat up for a long time before it gets easier. But if you
Mhm.
show up every day, it's the best thing I've ever done.
That's great. Yeah, man. And you were in jujitsu also. So I mean, obviously, yeah, you understand that and
Yes,
how it
sir.
is. And the more you're in it, the more you're gonna be able to uh be on top and be better and everything.
Yes, sir.
And incredible, man. Listen, man, that what a great story, man. Yeah, everything, man. From thank you for your service. I mean, that's awesome. um just it just seems like you're kind of guy, man, that always, you went to the service, you did that, man. I mean, that was willing to give up your life for the country, man, for other people here. You're out there, man. You were saving guys from getting stomped and, potentially really hurt, man, or worse. And so I think it's just in you, man. And then everything about you, man. I think you're a great guy, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you letting me tell my story.
Yeah, man. And make sure anybody who's watching this, make sure and hit like, share, subscribe, and all that. And I'm going to put all of AJ's social media stuff so you can see more of his videos and things like that, man. Follow him. And yeah, man, it was a great show. I really appreciate it, man. Have a blessed one and blessed holiday.
Thank you, brother. You too.
All right.